So I seen your tweet, and this is the first time that I've really seen you, write anything that was not so much anti-Trump, but criticizing a little bit of him. And then I'm like, what is she talking about? So you wrote, President Trump sold out every American. We trusted you. You made every American a slave to the New World Order. Now we got to go be friends with Elon. Hopefully, he has a technology that can shield us from Palantir. Did I say Palantir? Palantir. And I want to get in. I did write down Palantir and the meaning of it because the person who created Palantir is Peter Thiel. That's how you
PayPal.
pronounce PayPal. Yes. Um, and he's a big sci-fi reader. And Palantir is a word he got from Lord of the Rings, which means watch over, or
Yeah.
watchtower.
Spy.
Watch over, watch over.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Spy.
All right. So all right, so tell us why you tweeted, well, yeah, reposted, wrote this post here.
So I don't know if you've been
What is
watching
going
me, but
on?
I've been critical of President Trump on more than one occasion. I ride with President Trump, put my life on the line with President Trump, but just because people you rock with, whether it's your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, when they're wrong, you have to call them out when they're wrong. And Trump is definitely 100% wrong in this case. And he should know himself better than anybody. When you give data and power to people, what happens? They stole the 2020 election from him with that same energy. So, Palantir, it was an evolution of a bunch of different companies. I think they started back in 2003. And, they were a CIA funded venture. Now, this is that's number one. And it was originally supposed to catch fraud on PayPal. Well, they kept going and kept building, and they just became this monster. And like bigger companies that used to have these types of powers, like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, they just got pushed to the side. And this company just kept going. Then they called it Gotham. So now we've got this big monster Gotham that's now spying on everybody. They say, oh, we're just going to use it for immigration, but the NSA, the FBI, special forces, everybody is using this technology. And then they grow into something called Foundry. So it's like this. And now, mind you, they've been getting billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars from the government, but everything they do is classified. So we can't even see what the dirt that they're doing. And I always say, people, Trevor, you're pushing the button too fast. You got to trust the process. Hell no, I'm not trusting the process, because I've seen what happens when you trust the process. Y'all got killed by COVID, by your government. The same people who wanted to trust the process of your government, they killed you. Okay, and now you're finding out that they killed you, or they ruined your liver or your heart or your brain or your blood cells, or changed your DNA. You want to keep trusting the process? No, I'm just like Trump. I don't trust nobody when it comes to government. And so now we're going. These people haven't had a normal bid like other contractors that want government contracts. These people have not even gone through a bidding process. They just keep getting money, keep getting money, keep getting money. And so then they go public, and then it's like, okay, lo and behold, at the different rallies, I remember seeing Palantir on some of the, jumbotrons. And I'm like, I never looked it up until we hear this story. Trump administration gives this deal to Palantir. Yeah, there. And so it's like, okay, now I'm going to have to call President Trump out, because the man that we trusted to keep our civil liberties and our freedoms intact has now given it all away to a company called Palantir. My question is, what's in that contract? What's in that deal? If we the people are paying Palantir, if they're getting our tax dollars to build this conglomerate of spy, technology, we need to see what was in that deal. We need to now unclassify everything. Don't tell me, oh, we can't do that because, it's how we catch illegals. It's how we, predictive policing. So basically, Palantir is going to be a company that tries to predict if I'm going to commit a crime before I commit it, and come and get me before I've even committed a crime. So everybody
Right.
who needs to just like, everybody needs to wake up in this situation. And I will say it over and over again. We need to make Trump so fucking uncomfortable with this policy that he rescinds on this deal. Because is he protected? Is his family protected? None of us are protected under this deal by President Trump. And as much as I rock with him, I'm going to call him out when he's full of shit. And he's full of shit on this and what he's done to the American people who have put so much trust, overwhelmingly put so much trust in him.
Mm-hmm. So it says here, Palantir to create vast federal data platform tying together millions of Americans' private records, and their stock jumped. So the Palantir Technologies is back in the spotlight after securing a major federal contract that could reshape how the U.S. government uses data. Under the new agreement backed by the Trump administration, Palantir will build a vast centralized data platform that connects sensitive records from across key agencies, including the IRS, Social Security, and immigration databases, and more.
And bank accounts and your bank accounts are now
Yeah.
connected. So basically, if they want to predict that you committed a crime to stop you from committing what they predicted that you may do, they now shut down your bank account. When I tell everybody, when you give government a string, they will take the entire rope. And anybody who is comfortable with this current deal that President Trump has enacted, you're dumb, you're stupid. So I'm hoping, like I said, we got to go be friends with Elon now, because it's like, hopefully, since he's been in the inner quarters, he knows what's going on. He's smart enough to build a technology that we can all go on his platform that will be protected from Palantir. If he can add bank account, it's called XChat. It's a DM, sort of like WhatsApp type situation. But as far as I know, and if I know Elon, he should be smart enough to build a utility. And that utility can be money exchange. It can be bank, somewhat of a technological bank account under his platform. And I'll tell everybody, I'll choose Elon Musk any fucking day before I trust any other company, especially a company like Palantir.
Well, Elon Musk actually partnered with Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel.
Is it Theo or Thiel?
It's Thiel.
Thiel. Thiel.
Yeah.
He partnered with him and invested into PayPal with him. So they're close.
They're close, but not really. And that's what I'm going to say. It's like it's always a competition and a friction amongst businessmen to be bigger. And when you become bigger than the other, you may not have that same close relationship. I'm hoping that Elon went in and was an intern in government because he was trying to, learn what he needed to do I mean, I think he might build his own conglomeracy to have power, and that's fine. As long as that power that he builds doesn't restrict the freedoms. And I'm going on the promise of which he went into government saying, I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for fame. I'm doing this so that America can reach new heights. So that's why I'm like, look, Elon, America needs you right now because you've been there. You see what's going on. You see what's about to happen. This is your moment. You thought your moment was getting Trump elected. No, your moment will be protecting us from Palantir.
Yeah, but I don't trust politicians and I don't trust billionaires. So
until you become
one. Yeah, well, I mean, if I become a billionaire, it's like, come on, they
don't
know.
I don't like that. I don't like when you all hate on people because they have $1 billion.
No, I
that's a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater.
No, it's not that. It's not that.
You would trust yourself. Yes, you would.
Of course, I would trust myself because I worked myself to get to be a billionaire. However, there are things you got to do to get in that position of power to accumulate billions, and it's not all kosher. Now, a lot of these billionaires, they fund these politicians, and of course, these politicians are going to look out for them before they look out for the American people. So now we got to rely on a billionaire's moral compass. That could be a little bit tricky. I'm looking at these billionaires who are standing side by side, chummy with politicians as if they are a politician, and you cannot trust a politician. But I say all that to say, who is this Peter Thiel?
Peter Thiel's been in technology for the longest. I mean,
Yeah.
grown from PayPal and got into data because he understood that owning PayPal, he had all this data. So guess what? When you get a taste of that, the hunger becomes more and more. And that's why Peter Thiel, who's smart enough to start this and now want to control all of the data on every American, alive and even dead. So, it's just business. And when you say, moral compass and this and that, I don't believe in that either, because I do know that it's just business. It's not personal. People are like, well, all money is not good money. That's a damn lie. All money is good money. Some is just better than others. And that's where black people go wrong. It's like y'all got the wrong mentality. It's just like the broke person's mentality. All money is good money. That's what I want to tell you. Because money is just money. And so when y'all put these emotional situations on it, you clutter yourself. Money is just money. And
So let
all
me ask
money
you this
is
question.
good money.
Do you think you could do good business with a bad person?
Of course, you can do business with anybody as long as you control it and not have to trust it. See, that's something I learned when I was a foreign exchange student in Germany when I was 13 years old. It is better to have control than to have trust. So you can do business with anybody. Trump does business with Russia and China and whomever else. You sit down at the table, you can do business with anybody.
You're absolutely right. As long as you are in control of your assets, your situation, and yourself. However, I always look at it, well, what is the agenda behind it? Because what is the agenda behind Palantir?
Palantir.
Palantir. What is the agenda behind it? Because they're going to say, well, it's going to help us fight against terrorists abroad and domestic, right? But why do you need access to my IRS and my Social Security? Why,
And my bank account.
so what is the difference between his administration and Biden? Because Biden wanted to do the same thing as well. They just called it something else.
Well,
There's
you get to learn that they're all playing the game. So we're getting the frills of freedom from this administration, and we were just more skeptical of the previous administration, so we were able to call it out. But now you have to remember, MAGA has a lot of very unintelligent followers. They've never been out of the country. They don't know, they just follow what it is, and that's what they're stuck on. And then you mix that with the Bible, and it's just like, it's just not an intelligent, you know, recipe. But it's I think it's a simple. I think you all tie emotions into this into these politics, and I look around and I'm like, nobody is saying anything about this, telling you to trust the process. Oh, calm down. It's not. When has the media ever been honest with you? When has the government ever been honest with you? When do people realize Palantir is the loss of all freedoms? All of it. They control you. They can stop you. They can come and get you because their predictive policing said, oh, you might go kill so and so, or you are a terrorist, or you have these beliefs. So now I take the emotions out of it and I get very logical. And I'm like, I got to make sure Trump is like feeling real stupid about this move. First of all, you didn't present any type of bid for Palantir to take over this and get this contract. You didn't disclose what the deal was. We haven't been able to see what they've been doing because you've classified everything that they've done. So these motherfuckers have been free and clear, just running amok, controlling everybody's data. And more than any, money is just money, but data is power. And that's what this run is for.
well, he's getting backlash from
And he should.
the
And I'm
from the
giving it to him too. People are like, "Oh, you turned on Trump." No, god damn it. I'm just gonna call his ass out when he's wrong. And he's wrong.
and it's a MAGA base, and there are some podcasters. I think it was the Hodges twins.
The Hodge twins, yeah.
The Hodge twins. They mentioned it as well, but a lot of people are not talking about this.
Because they're scared. And that's why America keeps losing its freedoms, because of people who just don't talk about it and just let it go. I'm going to tell you, I'm a bear witness of getting out there trying to stop bullshit so we can maintain our freedoms. But we got people left and right, and I'm hearing them, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't be friends with people who will make me lose my freedoms. And that's what's happening. We've got nobody has any balls around here. And it's a frustrating situation. You got all these keyboard warriors. Nobody gets out and put the boots on the ground. I just, I feel like it's just sometimes it's a waste of time fighting for people. So you become selfish and you put yourself first. So it's like, you know what? Fuck all of y'all. Y'all stupid. So now I'm going to do what I got to do for me. And that's where it's getting to. And I hate to say that, but it's slowly getting to that position.
Let me ask you this question, because you said money is money. Would you buy Palantir stock? Because it went up 150%.
Why not? It's business. It's
I
not
don't know. No.
You didn't buy it? Are you crazy?
Because okay, so here's the thing though. Right. So no. So here's the thing though. Why would I buy into something that I'm against?
Just like I bought into privatized prison stock, because it's the game. It's how you build wealth. You can't make any moves out here with no money. So you have to get the money however you have to get it so that you can make some moves that count. And people need to take their emotions out of it. These privatized prisons are going to make their money either way it goes. So why would I not make money off of them?
Well, I can make money other ways.
Money is money again.
But this is what I'm saying. No, this is what I'm saying, because I'm not against people making money. But right. if the American people, the people who buy the stock, right? Because that's how they say, oh, this stock is doing good. But when you buy into certain stocks, you're going to get more of whatever they're selling or pushing out there. So I could buy gold, I could buy anything else that's still going to make me money. I don't have to buy into this particular company if I don't agree with their policies or what they're doing. So, but I hear what you're saying. I would never, me personally, I wouldn't buy into prison stocks, even though it's always lucrative, because of the whole policy and how, they run things. But there are other things, there's other stocks out there I could invest to make money. So it's 1,000,001 ways to make money. I don't have to invest in a company that I don't believe in or that I think is going to do more harm. I just look at this to where, because again, like you said, they're collecting our data, which means they are analyzing our behaviors, what we do online, how we spend our money, how much money we're making and putting in the bank and taking out, and that is a problem. But it seemed like that we are moving forward in this new world order, and it's not Republican, it's not, no one is not going to stop it. I don't know if somebody got holding something over Trump's head, because this is not what he was running on. He was actually running on the opposite.
Exactly. So you have to realize that this country is a very capitalistic society. And I am an equal opportunity capitalist because I understand exactly how things work. And that's what I need you all to understand. When you can't beat certain forces, you go in and you make your money off of them so that you can build your own force. And you have to know that wealth is something that you can acquire on things that you don't agree with, so that you can get out and build something to fight against it on your own terms. But without that money, you don't have a voice. And that's whether if you're going to run for office, it doesn't matter. You have to build that wealth in order to get the respect for your agendas to move. And that's what I'm on. That's just what I'm on.
No, I respect that. I want to play this clip here because after I saw your text, then I started Googling Palantir, and then I came across this.
And Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir, he was recently asked on stage in an event what he thinks of what's going on in Palestine with Israel, and he stumbles over his words for a solid 30 seconds, just I don't listen, I don't generally and he basically just 30 seconds just to say, I defer to Israel, I trust them to be doing the right thing, I think generally they're doing the right thing. And it's so cringy and so hard to watch, but that's the perspective of most of these technocrats, and not most, but a huge portion, a disproportionate portion of the surveillance technology industry is Israeli, because Israel's number one export is at this point is either diamonds, blackmail, or spyware, right?
Blackmail. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I think That's a good one. That is true. But what? Real quick before we get to that, what's Palantir? I hear the name. What does that company do?
Palantir. So Palantir is like this new boogeyman that is a boogeyman, but it's representative of this bigger industry. But Palantir was founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, and there was a couple founders. Joe Lonsdale's one of them. So two of these guys, Peter Thiel and Joe Lonsdale, they're from the PayPal mafia, from Elon Musk.
And
PayPal
Elon Musk
days.
was part of that.
Yeah, and so they had a bunch of funding when they started, and they basically at first, I don't know if they explicitly planned it this way, but their first client became the CIA, and and at the time their only client was the CIA, and the CIA has been their client ever since. And so they make AI ultra databasing, like spy software. They are the proverbial, like in the movies when the secret agents are like, all right, pull up the face on that terrorist, all right, zoom in on the terrorist, all right, track the movements, all right, so like they're the everything database is the idea, and it's for warfare explicitly. So it's used in combat, in warfare, like it was used in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's being used in Israel and Gaza now. And the goal theoretically is to use it to enhance the American warfighter overseas, and they're also deploying it domestically to deport illegal immigrants, and it would never obviously be used on civilians.
Never use it against us.
Yeah, no way. But the human rights questions are obviously infinite.
So I kind of want to play the whole thing. It's about 4 more minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the funding is insane. Like how much influence Peter Thiel has through his lobbying,
government funding.
Yeah, exactly. So the big one that's worth mentioning real quick is JD Vance. JD Vance was massively funded by Peter Thiel, but not only that, he got his whole career is Peter Thiel through and through and through. And if anyone wants to know more about this, looking into reporting by like Whitney Webb, reporting by Derek Bros, a lot of those guys kind of in the like sort of center fuck everyone crowd where they're like everyone is corrupt. Those guys have been on this. And JD Vance got his start at Mithril Capital. He was funded by Peter Thiel. He later founded another one that Peter Thiel helped support. I forget the exact details, but he's just been like Peter Thiel all the way up to this vice presidential pick.
That was very concerning to me.
Yeah. And so by all indications, he's Peter Thiel's guy. And Peter Thiel has that kind of influence behind the scenes.
Yeah, right. You know, if something happens to Trump, then he controls the country.
Exactly. And so Palantir is concerning for myriad reasons, both from like the founders, from their perspectives, their backstory. The name Palantir is this evil, all-seeing ball from the Lord of the Rings. It's the seeing stone in the Lord of the Rings that the wizards use to see the whole everything. Wow. But it corrupts you naturally. Like when you use it, it corrupts you to evil if you use it too much. Wow. Which is like, well, that's a funky name to pick. But Palantir, in a way, is also just a metaphor for the greater, surveillance industrial state, this like technological, technocratic hellscape that they're trying to build for us. Because it's not just Palantir. There's a lot of American, tech companies that are doing sketchy shit like that too. But and it's not just Israel, but Israel's a good example because we do this too.
Yeah.
But Israel had this policy for the last 10 years or so of exporting what would be their like spy organizations, like their NSA, which is called Unit 8200. They at a certain point realized that if all this spying gets caught, then it's like we don't want to be caught doing it.
Yeah.
And we can also do a lot more if we just export your unit out into the private sector. Go found a company, right? Go found a tech startup that makes spyware software.
So it doesn't
sell it to everyone.
Back to Israel.
Exactly.
Because Israel, the Snowden document showed they were our number one spy threat.
Exactly.
Never got too into like the details of it, but it showed that was very concerning.
Yeah. Another thing that Snowden showed actually that I just kind of was reminded of on the story I'm doing is that he also showed in those documents that the NSA was giving Israel information about Palestinians in America.
Wow.
So that, I assume, so that Israel could then go and find their relatives in Palestine and like
potentially kill them or rape
them, threaten them, blackmail them, whatever. So there's all these tech problems, and Israel is one of these primary exporters where they'll found all these companies like Black Cube that Harvey Weinstein used to spy on his accusers, right? I'm thinking of Paragon, which is this newer one that we can talk about. But Pegasus was the one that Jamal Khashoggi got chopped up by. But they were also using Pegasus to spy on people all over the world.
That also an Israeli company?
Yep. So Pegasus was founded by NSO Group, which is an Israeli cutout in this exact same way, where they found a private business that was actually just all ex-Unit 8200 people. And then at the end of last year, end of 2024, another scandal broke out, and the headlines were crazy. These headlines were like, let me see if I can get it right. Vatican and Israel implicated in new spying scandal in Italy or something like that.
Like together, or they're spying on
both,
the Vatican?
the both.
They're spying together.
So it's this like Italian private investigating firm that's like contracting with the government. And so they have an official government job in Italy, and they have this little office, and they're using this spyware software called Paragon, which is developed by this company from Israel that we can talk about in a second. But what they're actually doing is they're hacking the Italian government's servers in ways that are not within the scope of their mission at all. Yeah. And then they're collecting information. They're selling dossiers on anyone you want. And they're essentially using this like Italian government position as a front to hide what they're really doing. And they're actually just spying on whoever they want using this Israeli software. And then the Italian government got wise to them and started surveilling them. And they started wiretapping their offices. And they started recording conversations. And they recorded Israeli intelligence officers coming to the office and basically giving them directions, actually directing this operation. And one of the recordings that they recorded was these Israeli officers talking about a job on behalf of the Vatican, allegedly, that was a $1 million payout is what the allegations were. So it's like this whole fucking network, and it's this whole shady thing.
Yep. There you have it. You know, it's already being done. I don't think that anybody within their right mind could say that Israel is not our most, threatening intelligence, problem. And I just want, to wake up as many people as possible. All of these people who are siding with Israel. And I put up a post, I don't know, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. White people need to realize that division against them and racism against them is deliberately sown by Israel and Jewish people in this country. And the worst thing and the reason why this has to keep happening, because the worst thing that can happen is that Black people and white people come together. And then these people who are intentionally, funding, Black Lives Matter and all these different issues that make white people the boogeyman and the bad guy. I think that white people need to wake up. And I understand that, Israel is in the Bible and you're throwing your support behind Israel, but you have to remember that the Israel of today is not the Israel of the Bible. And when you all are fine with, 70,000 children with their arms and legs and heads blown off, when all of you are fine and you praise that, you are the reason why slavery happened. You're not Christians. You're not good people. You're just not. And so you guys can get off your high horses because you're all full of shit. And, it's obvious. But in the interim of all that, I'm being honest with white people in this country. The reason why we have this division that continues to, take flame is because it's funded. It's agenda, there's an agenda for it. And the people that are behind it are Jewish people, because if we unite, they lose all power. So white people, I'm with y'all. Let's do it. Let's get it together. We have to save this country. And there's a problem coming from a foreign agent that's funding all of our politicians. I wish that they would just designate AIPAC as a terrorist organization and we get rid of every politician that has dual citizenship, because this should be America first and it should be America only. And the longer that you guys throw your support behind Israel, you're going to lose this country.
I do have a super chat I want to bring up. It says Peter Thiel. I'm saying, is it Thiel?
I thought it was Thiel. Yeah. But anyway.
Peter Thiel. And Elon.
So
what is it in German?
Thiel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably because you lived there, so you would know. And Elon are both Boers. Their DNA is all over the policies that Trump is pushing. Not good for Americans, especially people that look like me. So I guess he's putting Peter and Elon in the same boat, and they probably are to a certain degree. But I think what's done is done. People do need to talk about this. Who is it? Tim Cass, he ain't talking about it tonight. He's talking about Trump and Biden. I don't see no one holding X Spaces talking about this.
And they should. But they, like I said, all of these influencers on X, that's their whole life. They're just influencers. They do nothing outside of this X space. So They have to hold on to their livelihood. I know people who depended on X so much, and then X defunded them and they couldn't pay their rent. They sit on X all day and post and post and post. And eventually, when you get your numbers, then the administration comes to you and say, hey, stick with this agenda. You can put up a page with 14 different, conservative influencers on X, and they're all pushing the same agenda. The way they were looking like stupid monkeys dancing outside the White House with the Epstein files. It shows that even the people who, conservatives follow, they're on an agenda-based payroll. So, I'm going to talk about it because I'm about it. I'm really about that life. So when people want to say, oh, how could you, switch up on Trump? I didn't switch anywhere. He's wrong. And we believe that he would do just the opposite. So he's going to hear from me every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if you really a friend to someone or you really support someone or down with them, you want to tell them the truth, whether it goes against what they believe or not. So I don't like a whole bunch of yes people. And I think that's the problem, going back to Diddy real quick. That's the problem. They were all yes people because they wanted to be they want to be in the in crowd, part of that lifestyle, so they were just all yes, 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 just yes. And they probably did enjoy it. So,
They did. Every last one of them. They
I think Cassie enjoyed it too.
Oh, she was the biggest come up. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was the biggest come up. And, people saying, well, she was groomed and this and that and the other. I'm going to say that this is like, y'all keep giving these whores of the industry sympathy, saying they were groomed when really it was the lifestyle. And you all know that. We all have girlfriends that will, sit up and post up to find the basketball player or the rapper, the girl that works at the hotel desk, giving the key to the girl to go into the player's room. It exists, which is why I was the only woman representative for men during the Me Too movement, because I know the game. And I can see a whore when I see a whore. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, y'all need to get, like, realistically speaking, Cassie was there for the lifestyle, the money. You can see through her communication, she was enjoying it. That's not a grooming situation. That's a convenience situation. And I have absolutely no sympathy for that, nor her parents, because the parents are always involved.
They know what your data.